Easy, people. So I'm going to talk to you about the third in this three-part series of signal effectors. That's what I'm calling them. Basically, what I'm saying is how you can use one signal to affect another. I think I've just repeated the same thing. I'm going to leave all this in anyway. So firstly, I talked about the air pumper. The air pumper sends a rhythm pattern which is fixed to control the volume, and it turns down the volume, giving it a kind of ducking effect. It's a fake ducker because it's not an actual true signal coming from anywhere else. It's just turning down the volume and turning it back up. Well, it's just ducking the volume. Now then, the next one is the mother ducker, which actually uses a signal to like turn down the other signal, whichever you send it to, and it can be several. It's not just one, it can be multiple amount of signals, and there's loads of different ways you can use it, and it's excellent. And also what it does is it applies compression, which means it can turn up a quiet sound and turn down a loud sound. Is a way of explaining that. It can do many effects, but the key one usually is to give a kind of pumping sound, and it usually gives excitement to a track, amongst other stuff. And then the third one is the envelope follower. Now, the envelope follower is a bit like Doctor Who. Initially, it can duck a signal. Yeah, that's all right. But it goes way beyond that. It's so much beyond that I'm only going to give you even the basics. What I'm going to show you are probably pretty advanced, but this should give you an idea of how far you can go on this. In fact, I think this is probably, of the updates so far, this is probably the most underrated feature in the update because of how much more this can do than meets the eye. As always, I always say, I never save the tunes. Every tune you hear me make, unless I really, really, really like that tune, just gets deleted as soon as I've done this tutorial. That speaks volumes, for me anyway, to the Force, how easy it is to make music on the Force. I'm going to go in a rant now. I'm just going to go in a rant. I'm not a fanboy of anything. I don't care. I don't care about Cubase. I don't care about Ableton. I don't even care about the Force, if I'm honest. I only care about the end results. The thing, what I have to say, with the Force, I have had loads of music equipment. I've done lots of music stuff I never talk about. I don't, because it's not important. But I have to say this machine is really good. So anybody who's complaining about it, really, they're either complaining because it does so much that they wish it did more, or they just need to sit down and take some time to think, well, what is this meant to be? And I believe this machine is meant to be for coming up with good ideas, but really fast. Because sometimes you can sit down on a program and it can take you ages to do something, and you end up tweaking a snare or fiddling with a bass drum or a bass and piano sound or whatever, and you just forget why you was there in the first place. And the first place why you're there is to do music. This machine is like the non-distract machine because everything just seems to work. Well, anyway, it does for me. Anyway, end of rant. So I'm going to make a tune now, and then I'm going to show you how the envelope follow goes. So, right, let me see what's what. Yeah, something like that. Okay, here we go. Actually, do you know something? I'm gonna do something slightly different because of what I want to show now. So I'm gonna just have these at a fixed volume. So we'll have them there. Is that right? I always get this the wrong way. It's that one, isn't it? Okay, that'll do. So. I have to double length it, don't I? So there and then there, because I have to double length it. So play the rest in. There we go, because it's 4 bars. And press that quickly, and that goes back to there. Not that it matters, because I'm going to go back here and have the launch and notes. So yeah, we'll have that. Maybe some hi-hats. So I'll take out them in a minute. We'll have that there. So I'll go back to this hi-hat now. And I think it was this end one in it, so I'll get rid of that, I think. There we go. And anything else while I'm here? Yeah, maybe. Nah, that'll be alright. I'm not going to get too giddy on this. Maybe one at the end. Yeah, we'll have that. And you know what? Just because we're here on this, I'll add it there. It doesn't have to be that loud. Maybe it can be there. There we go. Maybe even a little quieter. That was there. And do you know what? I could have played that to see how loud it is, but I didn't. Yeah, that's nice. Okay. So let's go on to these piano things. Maybe just twice. No. That'll do. Yeah, that'll do, something like that. And 2 and go. Right, so there's a little gap in there. Might as well fix that. Where was it? There. So all right, we'll fix that gap. How do we fix that gap? By just warping it. So let's see. Zoom out. Zoom out. What's one? 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's see. 1, 2, 3. There we go. That's past it. I don't even know if it needed to go even that far. That'll do. There we go. Alright, so we got our tune, right? Alright, we'll use that hi-hat to duck these pianos, right? So what I need to do is go edit, knobs, and I'm into the knob modifier thing. And then I just need to go to envelope follower. Now, I'm going to tell you something about envelope follower, right? You'll come up like blank screen, as it should, right? And I wanted to mention this, even though I won't probably address it after this, because like I said, this thing is like a TARDIS. It's immense. You have 16 envelope followers. Each of them can be doing something completely different. So we're just going to work with just one to make our lives easier. And maybe I might do two. Right. So in its basic form, right, I'm going to get this envelope and I'm going to tell this envelope one, right, the envelope source that I'm going to use, I'm going to go and I'm going to say, right, I'm going to use that hi-hat. Now, there's a couple of ways I could do this. I'll do it this way. Right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to get this hi-hat here and I'm going to make it dip the piano. So I'll go envelope source. I'm going to click there. I'm going to go to track. And which track is it? It's this first track here, the acoustic drum kit. But what I want to do is I want to go to the pad. So I'm going to go to this pad. What pad am I going to go to? Well, I want to go to this pad here, which is the number 3 pad. So in the bank A. So bank A 3, and I've clicked it. So now this signal here, which is tapping, when this plays, this is going to affect another signal, right? What signal is that going to affect? That's the source, and I want it to affect the piano. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add here, and I'm going to go to the track, and I'm going to say the piano, and I want it to just affect, I don't know, the mixer. So the volume of this, there it is. So what I'm doing now, this sound here, when I'm hitting this is affecting the volume of that. So this sound here is going to affect the volume of that piano track, and that goes like this. As you can hear, it's just dipping, blah blah blah, and you can probably tell. If I solo this, you probably hear it better. So you can hear that. I think if I do pre-fade, I don't know if I just do that. And mute that. So that's now affecting that. So that's kind of doing the opposite actually. That's doing like a gate. So mental note to self actually, that doing that is a quick way of creating a gate. No, now we don't want it. We want it like that. So every time that's playing, that's affecting the volume and bringing down the volume. And you can flip it so it's doing the opposite way round. Blah blah blah. That's it. That's yeah, whatever. Who cares, right? So that's it in its most basic form. I mean, literally, its most basic form. So it's kind of doing like the mother ducker. It's kind of doing between the mother ducker and the pumper when it's doing that. And yeah, that's cool. But here's where it gets really groovy. What I can say to myself is, what I would like is this hi-hat, because I put this hi-hat on full velocity. I want this hi-hat to go quiet and loud and just keep fluctuating up and down the volume of it. Because that would be quite cool, I think. So how would I do that? All right. Well, I'll go here and I'll say the envelope I want of this envelope is not any of this stuff. None of this. None of it at all. In fact, let me just see if I can clear this. Can I clear it? Reset it? No. No, man. No loss. What I'm going to do is I'm going to set an LFO. And what that is a low frequency oscillator. I don't know if anybody knows what an LFO is. And what it is it's a quiet signal. It's a signal. It's a frequency below our hearing. And what you can use that to is modulate. Then there's different types of like basically shapes to this frequency. And what it's doing is it's sending a signal that's so low it's below our hearing, and it's making that signal modulate the way another signal is affected. Yeah, really. So what I'm going to do with that is I'm going to use a random one, and I'll do a random hold, which is like random signal. So this random signal now, is going to be just sending out information like loud and quiet, and all, and everything in between. Right, so look, it's going, yeah, it's there, it's all over the place, it's there, and you're quiet and loud and whatever, right? And now, what I'm going to do, and I'll use learn for this, because this is easier to do with learn. I'm going to learn this hi-hat. So what I'm going to do is press edit and go to the hi-hat. So I'm into the hi-hat now. And what I want it to do in the master is I want it to learn this volume of this hi-hat. So I'm going to go here and I'm going to turn that, and now that envelope has learned has learned the volume of this hi-hat. So what that's going to do is it's going to turn up that hi-hat up and down all over the place randomly. And now I've just got a hi-hat which fluctuates like a live player. And maybe a couple of you now are seeing where this can go, because if you can do that with a hi-hat, then what else could you do? So let's bring the rest of this stuff back in. Oh yeah, I put it on mute, didn't I? Sorry. Right. So now I've got that, and now I could do the same with the kick and the snare and whatever. Yeah, great. I could do that. Cows, come on. Right. But what else do I want to do now? I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to do another envelope. So I'm going to go to envelope 2. And what I want to do is I've got a sound here somewhere. So I've got this sound. And I've decided, I'm so lazy, I'm just going to play one note, because that's going to be my melody. So that's my melody. One note melody. Here we go. So I'm like, yeah, that's cool. I'm into one note melodies now. Am I? Nah, I've changed my mind. I'm going to let the envelope flower play the rest of the notes for me. So how would I do that? Well, I will say that I want, I think I'll do it again. No, actually, do you know what I will? Because I want to make sure that it's just not going between notes. I want to make sure, just to make life easier, that it's not going to go between notes. It's going to go from one note to another note. So I'm going to use a square. If I wanted to go between notes, so if I wanted to do something like, I could use another thing. I could use a sine wave. I could use a ramp. I could use different things. If I wanted to go do, I could do that. That's where I say it gets more complicated, because obviously it's going to do it right across the notes. So it's not going to do it to scale. To implement scale, you would probably want to create a drum program and put notes which are going to be specific notes in a scale. Hence, if you understood what I said there, you'll get where that's going. If you didn't, don't feel any way about it, because like I said, that's mad complex. So the simple way I can do this is I can say to myself, this square here, which is going like that, blah, 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 I want that square to go between two numbers. So I want it to play this, and let's say, to be sophisticated, I'm going to say I want it to play this note, and I want it to play a seventh up from that note as well, because you can have fifths, sevenths, fourths, and stuff like that. And I think the seventh is going to work. So I'm going to go from that 1 to 7 and then back. 1 to 7 and back. So how would I do that? All right then. Or maybe I'll go from 12 to 12. Let me just make life easy so you understand what's going on. I'm going to go from this note to that. and this is going to do it for me. So I'll stop that just because it's a bit confusing. Well, it's not confusing. It's distracting for the moment. So how would I do that? Well, again, simple. I'm going to press learn, and I'm going to go and learn this. So I'm going to go shift clip, and I want it to learn the transpose, because I want it to transpose up and down, and I don't want to do it. I want this to do it. So again, I'll turn the dial, I'll bring it back to that, so make sure that it's in the middle. Right, okay, that's cool. So let me go back now, edit, knobs, go back to my envelope folder, and it's at 0. So now what's going to happen is that's going to go up and down to the maximum of whatever that can do, which will sound like this. That's no good now, because look, that's 36. Wow, that's a lot. But it's all right, because I can fix how long that range is, and I'll press in there. And now how long do I want it to be? I want it to be 12. So in fact, I don't want it to be 12. I don't want it to go lower. I want it to go from where it's playing, which is not, and I want it to go to where I want it to play. And for this one, I'm going to say 12. So now it's going between 0 and 12. So let's have a shufty at that. And I say, oh yeah, that's cool, that. I quite like that. What else could I do? Well, maybe, just maybe, I want that to go from, and I want to go from there to between that and I'll do it again on that track, on that same group thing there. I want, and I probably could have pressed that, but I just want to be on the safe side, so I'm going to go to transpose, because I might have to create a new one, but I'll use this one just to see if I can add one. No, yeah, I thought as much. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, well, that's cool, but I want another one. So I'm going to go to this envelope 3, and instead of me having to do all that again, what I can do is I can press that, and then I'll go down to here and copy this. And I'm going to copy, it doesn't matter if it's replace or merge. I'm going to copy that envelope folder, and this one, the transpose, what I've used before, and I'm putting that there. So now there's 2. But what I want this one to do now is I want this to play at 7, because I said 7 before. So now that's going to go from 0 to 7. And the other one is going to go from 0 to 12. And if you notice, at the moment, it's using the envelope of envelope 2, because I copied it. I could use a different envelope to modulate that, but that square's fine. In fact, I could use another one and have that out of phase. So just to show, what I'll do is I'll do that, and I'll do that as a square. Like I said, this starts to get more complicated as it goes along, because you can do so many different things. At the moment, that's playing exactly the same way. But what I might do is I might actually fluctuate that out of phase, so that it's out of phase of the other one. So now this is what I get. And I'll use a different sound just to make that a bit more distinct. So let's go here. So what I've basically done there, I'll solo this kind of. Let me see, make sure that I don't mute my voice while I'm here. So solo. So look at that. All of that's from one note. If you look here, that's all I've got is one note. Somewhere here. I'll zoom out. Where are we? There. And all them notes are changing. And that's basically on that enveloper. And what I could do is I could say, well, yeah, I want that double the speed. So okay, and I'll do that. Yeah, and that sounded terrible. But what I can do now, though, because I've set that up, I can do this. I could say, right, well, I like that, but it's not really musical enough for me, maybe. So now, 3 and... And you probably can see now, this is where it gets a bit too giddy. So I'm going to do that. You wanted, the trick to this is, well, there isn't a trick. This is where like music knowledge probably comes into its own. So to make life easier, I would probably just say, keep it to something like that. Maybe you could have 2 notes. And I don't have to record it. I can just... see. So, hopefully that was it. Like I said, the envelope follower is immense. You can control absolutely everything that is automatable in this. So basically, that was the third and final one, the envelope follower. The envelope follower is massive. It's like a TARDIS. There's so much you can do with it. And like I say, you should have some great fun with that. I think that's madly underrated at the moment because people probably don't know how you can use it. Hopefully, I've showed you the basics of how to use it. Go and have fun. And until next time, don't forget to like and subscribe, of course, for more tutorials and things like that. And like I say, if you ask me requests in the comments, I'll try and do them. I'll get around to doing them. And hope this has been helpful. And always, like I say, in this time, stay safe and peace.